But what's happening here essentially is illegal under Malaysian law. This is a protest against a bill that's going through Parliament here on Tuesday, designed to redraft legislation on just how people are allowed to assemble and protest. Under that bill, people would need to give 10 days notice and only assemble in designated areas. And essentially, they won't be able to march. Assembly in motion, as it's called, will be ruled illegal. The lawyers of the Malaysian Bar Council, who've organised this protest, say that's unduly restrictive, even more so than the legislation that this is designed to replace.
Processions in history, both in Malaysia and elsewhere, are agents of change. A procession is a demonstration by the people in motion to speak up about their grievances for others to see and hear.
One of the reasons that the lawyers are so angry is that they say the Prime Minister Najib Razak made a speech in September in which he talked about revoking the Internal Security Act, under which people could be detained without charge, and generally liberalising Malaysia's security laws. They say this bill is a reversal of that process.
The lawyers handed over their own alternative assembly bill, but the government minister they met insisted that as the new law would not require protesters to get a police permit, it was therefore progressive.
Do you feel it's less restrictive or more restrictive?
If you look at it holistically, you can't take a piecemeal part of the proposed assembly bill and say that it is restrictive. Because if you look at overall, police permit is not required.
So what has been a peaceful assembly against the peaceful assembly bill is now coming to an end. What isn't ending, though, is the long-running controversy about Malaysia's security laws.
James Chin is a professor of political science at Monash University in Kuala Lumpur, and he joins us live from Kuala Lumpur. Now, James, this proposed bill, as Harry said, is in response to a call for a review of the Internal Security Act. Is it a review or is it something totally different?
Well, it's not a review on the Internal Security Act. The law on assemblies actually come under a separate law called the Police Act. The idea is that people in Malaysia were expecting the government to come up with a bill that would allow people to demonstrate freely. And there were high expectations that the new bill would allow people to move around freely, to demonstrate freely, and to express. What they were surprised was that the new bill in some ways is actually more restrictive than the old bill.
But at the same time, though, James, Prime Minister Najib Razak has come out to say that this particular legislation actually guarantees the right to a peaceful assembly.
Well, the thing is, under the old Police Act, you also had the right to assemble and hold a demonstration. The only difference is that you had to apply beforehand, and the police had the authority to stop you from demonstrating. Under this new act, you exactly have the same problem. The only difference is that you have to inform the police 10 days beforehand, and the police still have the right to stop you from demonstrating. So there really is no change at all.
James, given that Malaysia is a multiracial, multicultural society, isn't there a need for this sort of a legislation, perhaps to provide some sort of guidelines in order to protect the cultural and religious sensitivities that are in Malaysia?
Well, I think society has progressed, and I think Malaysians are a mature society. So I think if you don't have any controls on Malaysia, I don't think anything will happen.
James Chin there, speaking to us from Kuala Lumpur.